Brothers in Arms here. How's it going, guys? We have two topics again to discuss, completely different from each other. He's gonna right over here. He's gonna be talking about.
I'm gonna do a review of this movie coming out in 2 days, on the 25th, called The Revenant.
And I'm gonna be discussing the flat Earth theory. All right. So right over here is gonna start us off.
All right, let's jump into it. First of all, you guys must have seen the trailer, and if you haven't, you really should watch the trailer for The Revenant.
We're being a link.
That's a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio playing Hugh Glass, Tom Hardy playing John Fitzgerald, and Domhnall Gleeson playing Andrew Henry. Now, the last guy you might know from the Star Wars The Force Awakens, he was that general.
From
with
the
Kylo
First
Ren.
Order, yeah.
Yeah, from the Force Order's general. Is that guy. So anyway, I want to talk to you about the movie real quick. It's a drama / thriller. It got an 8.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 82 on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, so my review of it, and there's going to be some spoilers here, so I'm not gonna make a major at all, but there will be some. So if you don't wanna get it spoiled, just skip to his part. Okay, first of all, the premise of this video is a bunch of trappers for hides in like Canada or like the frontier get they're deep in the frontier. They get attacked by Native Americans. And specifically, the main guy, Hugh Glass, Leonardo DiCaprio, he kind of gets, by one way or another, separated from the group and severely mauled by a bear. I mean, that scene, the bear scene, regardless of what I think of this movie, that bear scene was just raw.
Wait, is it that movie where it's like snowing and stuff?
Yeah,
it's
you
like
must
cold.
have seen the trailer.
Yeah, I saw the trailer.
Yeah, but there's a bear scene where he kind of fights a grizz, and they nailed it. Because most other movies, they make it unrealistic, like him fighting with fighting's unrealistic. This one was so realistic. Like I almost pictured myself like this is exactly how it would happen if I had a musket like he did, and I fought a grizz, because the grizz just destroyed him. But he lived. Long story short, and he got separated from the group, and his main goal was to, even so as messed up as he was, evade Native Americans and just make it back to like civilization. Honestly, I was hugely disappointed by this movie, just because it had Leo, it had Tom Hardy. By the way, Tom Hardy, he's the villain, and I think he has like the best performance. Actually makes the drama part of it. The rest of the movie, it just kind of, without trying to give too much away, it just didn't have like a very strong drive. It was just kind of like the premise of the movie was just very weak, I think. And then the whole thing was, the survival part, which was also like, it's based on a true story. So the guy actually survived most of those things that they described. And the camera work was great, and there was action, but the movie itself was, I think, weak. I'd probably give it, I see 8.6 out of 10, 82 on Rotten Tomatoes. I would give it probably a 7 out of 10. Or 70%.
Dang.
On Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, it was a good performance, good movie. No cheese, but the plot was so weak. The plot was just so weak. There was... I've seen another movie with... it's called The Grey with...
that's a good movie.
With
Liam
Neeson, yeah. That's that kind of type of movie, but The Grey was so much more intense. Same premise, like that survival. Although Liam Neeson, not everybody died in The Grey. Spoiler alert.
Sure.
But, way better execution, way more intense. This one was just kind of like not as intense, just weak premise, So if you haven't seen The Grey, watch The Grey first. And
what would you give The Grey?
I'd give The Grey this 8.6 out of 10. Yeah, I would give The Grey that. Okay. The Grey was intense. Liam Neeson, I think, was just a lot more intense. But the Revenant's coming out in 2 days. It's worth seeing. Maybe just not in theaters. Maybe you just wait for it till it comes out. I don't think it's worth the $9. Maybe with the effects, for a nice action scene, but in general, maybe not. But it was interesting. It was pretty entertaining. Anyway, left over here, just gonna. Well, first of all, before we start, everybody at home, you want to power off your phones.
Power off your phones. Power off your phone.
Just in case, the NSA, CIA, government's gonna not want you to hear this. So
they might not even upload this video.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So if we disappear, we're
you'll
know
never know. Anyways, first of all, whatever you think you know, and you know is right, is wrong. What you learn in school, F equals ma, it's all wrong. First of all, what is gravity? Like, this force that binds us all together is ridiculous. You're telling me the same force that keeps me to the ground makes the moon orbit? That doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Wait,
what makes the sun orbit around the sun?
Yeah.
See, that doesn't make any sense to me.
That doesn't make any sense. So, like, how does that work? Like, I've never heard anything like that. Like, I'm looking at myself. I'm on the ground, There is no gravity. What is this gravity? Like, yes, I jump up, I go down, but, like, that's logic, Why else wouldn't I fall down, I just don't see where all these scientists are getting their experiments from. Like, what is this, like, theory of gravity? Like, it makes no sense.
So what is the flat Earth theory?
Well, let me tell you.
Explain this to.
Let me tell you.
Wake up, sheeple! Wake up!
Let me tell you. The flat Earth theory is a theory where the Earth is indeed flat. Now, you may think it's ridiculous. You may have not seen the edge of the Earth or experienced gravity, but it is very much true. Have you ever flown in a plane and looked outside? Was the Earth round? Did you see any roundness? No. I went on a trip over Thanksgiving break, and I flew on a plane. I didn't see any roundness. Are you gonna tell me that I'm wrong? I was flying 30,000 feet in the air. Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
now I know what you're saying. This is ridiculous. Let me ask you this: can jet fuel melt steel beams?
No.
And yet, 9/11 happened. Now, why hasn't there been an official and third-party investigation on 9/11? Don't know. Suspect. Why did Iran put its country next to all of our bases? Suspect. You see, you got to connect the points. You know what I mean? It makes sense.
Now, also one thing. How is it that the Earth is at an extreme angle during the winter season, and yet again, Antarctica hasn't melted?
Think about it this way.
Think about it. Now, it's because it's not. The Earth is flat, obviously. The sun is only about 10,000 meters in diameter, obviously. And the Earth is just flat. It's simple. We're just accelerating up 9.8 meters a second. And that's why, there's gravity, as we call it, but there's no such thing. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Isaac Newton must have been smoking some dank stuff, because, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, if you look at the moon itself, we all know that there's, like, micrometeorites in space, right? The moon is hit by millions and millions of micrometeorites. Now you're telling me that all those Apollo missions, none of the astronauts got hit by micrometeorites? It's ridiculous. It's all fake.
Yeah. And also, in Australia, why isn't everybody upside down? If they're in the bottom. Why?
Exactly.
And if gravity was real, why aren't they walking upside down? Because the Earth is flat.
Earth is flat.
There you have it. We're probably going to get...
probably
going to disappear in
probably going to be
days.
assassinated for telling you this.
But yeah, wake up, people.
Wake
You're
up,
being
America.
lied to. Wake up. Just kidding, guys. That last whole conspiracy theory was just for fun, but we're trying to get you guys thinking outside the box.
Gotta think outside the box.
There's actually some theories. They're pretty outlandish, but there are definitely Hey, guess what? I just read a whole list of old conspiracy theories that everybody thought were nuts. That actually turned up true. Here, I'm gonna pull up some right now.
Your phone's
I
off?
turned my phone off.
NSA.
All right, hold on.
Now here's the thing. While his phone's turning back on, what we just told you is like utter nonsense. But like, you didn't know. I mean, you wouldn't have known unless you knew the facts. That's why you gotta know. If like people are trying to tell you something that's not true, just like research it yourself. Look outside the box. Do your own research. Don't take things for granted.
Because everybody has an agenda. The government has an agenda. The governments throughout history has an agenda. So, you may be getting taught certain things that are not necessarily 100% correct. Okay, yeah, gravity is real. Yeah, the Earth is round. But, there's so many things. Well, let me look at one. Operation Northwoods. In the 60s, the Department of Defense and Joint Chiefs of Staff drafted plans to drum up public support for an all-out war against Cuba. Committing acts of terrorism against American citizens were included in these plans, such as bombing a U.S. ship and hijacking planes. Oh, I mean, that's crazy. You must be a nut. The CIA were to conduct these attacks. The plans were approved all the way to the top man at that time, JFK, who personally rejected them. So, I mean, who would think that government would almost approve? If it wasn't for JFK, disproving him, they would have tried to start a war by potentially attacking and killing U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
So, there's proof, and as time goes on and things become declassified, we're just going to start seeing
who killed Kennedy.
We're going to start seeing who killed Kennedy,
Bush
who did 9/11.
Exactly. All right.
Anyway,
well,
tune in next time when we drop in some more word knowledge on y'all.
Bros and out.